Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I've got 5 replays in the Soviet Eastern Alliance Era 2 mid-era tech tree heavy tank, the T-80. That was an absolute mouthful. So if you do like the video, as always, don't forget to like and subscribe down below, as it really does help out the channel. And yes, the T-80, this is the tank after the T-10B. You've got past the T-10B, which is just dreadful, and you've got to this vehicle. This vehicle is actually quite a nice tank. I have enjoyed playing through it. I think it's fairly capable. The only downside for this tank is the fact that the gun loves to miss. It just loves it. It loves missing. And it is deeply frustrating. But when the gun behaves, it's pretty okay. And I like the mobility. The armour works well enough. It's not reliable armour, but it works well enough. The gun, when it works, can put out a good amount of damage because the DPM's pretty nice. Your penetration's pretty okay when you get it fully upgraded, not when you stock. And on the whole, it's a pretty enjoyable experience. If you've played the T-72 M1, you will know exactly how the T-80 plays. You'll know exactly how it handles, because it is basically very, very similar to the T-72 M1, except for the armor works for me a little bit better than it does on the M1. So this first replay is stock. This first replay in the T-80, we are stock. We have the stock gun, everything about it. We have 372 penetration on the standard APFS DS on this tank, with 420 heat pen and 135 HE pen. The HE does 690 damage, so if you do pen the HE, that can be quite a bit of damage. But 372 penetration on these 550 alpha rounds is a little bit low, and it just feels like a struggle at times when you are trying to pen things with this 372 pen. Can be a little bit low in this day and age, and it can struggle with a few tanks like the 4211, for example, although you can just hit the cupola of the 4211. Lastly, the one thing that this tank does like to do is miss, which, case in point, right there, you can have a fully aimed shot at the lower plate, and it will hit the dirt, because that's just what the gun loves to do. So we're fully aimed the shot, and we do pen it that time. Now, nice of it to hit, right? So it can be a bit frustrating. You've got 0.31 accuracy at 100 meters with the build I have with this gun, and you also have the accuracy of 0.87 on the rotation and 2.44 on the move, which is really not that great. It means the gun does bloom out a wee bit, which adds to the frustration of the accuracy of the gun. Although sometimes RNG giveth and RNG taketh, and it does like to hit those shots. You got 1.9 second aim time though, which is pretty quick, and it does mean that the gun does get aimed in fairly quickly anyway, which is alright. You got 1800 meters a second shell velocity on the standard FSDS rounds on this stock gun, which is pretty damn nice. It means you've got great shell velocity, and you'll be able to lead targets pretty effectively with this tank. You don't really have to give that much lead at all to be able to hit the shells. This tank also is quite mobile. You go at 70.8 kilometers an hour while you're stock, with a 23.79 horsepower per ton ratio, which is pretty damn nice for the vehicle. It is a very, very mobile tank, and it just helps you keep up with the gameplay in Era 2 quite a lot. And that's something that the T10 lacks, for example, is just the ability to keep up with it sometimes. So what do I run in terms of a crew and equipment on this tank? Well, I run Born Leader, Rapid Reload, Sixth Sense, Steady Aim, Snapshot, Run and Gun, Clutch Braking, Rapid Aim, Track Mechanic, Advanced Loader, the Gun Stabilizer, and Vents. Vents to be able to make the most of everything on this vehicle, get the best DPM, accuracy, all that good stuff out of it. Gun Stabilizer to get the best accuracy out of the gun as possible, keep the gun bloom from being as big as it could be if I didn't run that. The Advanced Loader to get the best DPM I can, and have that 7.75 second reload with this stock gun for 4.2k DPM. And then the Clutch Braking and the Rapid Aim to make the track traverse and the turret traverse of this vehicle better, so that I can get 42 degrees a second turret traverse and 45 degrees a second hull rotation as well. Add in the 3 gun perks to make sure this gun is as good as possible, but it's still derps a lot. You just got to bear that in mind. And you can see that first game while we were stock, we ended up with 6.5k damage, with the second class, the Confederate, the 1263 base XP, a fairly average game there for the T-80 on El Alamein, and a perfect way to show off stock. It's not, to be honest, it plays exactly the same stock as it does while fully upgraded. The only thing that you have to suffer from when you're stock is the fact that you have just poor penetration. That's it. The 372 pen is a bit of a drawback, and you're going to see that in this second game, right? Because this second game, we are nearly fully upgraded. We have everything on this tank except the top gun. So we're still using the stock gun in this replay, and 372 penetration can let you down against certain targets that with the top gun, where I think it's 408 penetration, you will go through. Because that extra 30 to 40 penetration really does make a difference. But, on the whole, the tank, while... realistically, the way that the tank actually feels, there is very little difference between fully upgraded and stock. You don't really feel it that bad. Except for the penetration. That is literally the only thing you will feel. So we're in the second game. And the second game we're on Des full. And now, with having everything upgraded, we've got a 44 degrees a second turret rotation and a 48 degrees a second hull rotation, which means they turn slightly quicker. The accuracies and stuff like that have got ever so slightly better, but minimalist. And we now go at 72 kilometers an hour instead of 70 kilometers an hour. So we've got an extra little burst of speed, which is good. And yeah, you might be looking at the build, by the way. You know, with the equipment, you could definitely drop vents to run the traction system because you will hit 79 kilometers an hour. It's down to you. I feel like I'm quick enough at 72 kilometers an hour, and I want to make sure that I can get the best out of the gun, DPM, everything else, right? Because this gun is frustrating at the best of times. So if I can make it better, that's what I'm going to do with the vents. And I could also push up the DPM to get the best out of it, because I can get that 4.2k DPM, which is very, very nice. So we are in the middle of Desfall. We're up to 3.5k damage, and we're just keeping the gun firing as much as possible. Don't quite have the reload for the Leopard, who I thought was going to poke out, but we do have a shot at the 4211. We go for the Cupola, but sadly it doesn't hit. And the Leopard just keeps poking out at the worst moment for us. We can't quite find the shot. We get the drive wheel of the 4211, which we track and pen him. Damages Amarak as well. So we're going to go for that drive wheel and hope that we maybe pop it. But sadly, just as we fire, he ends up repairing his tracks. And that means that we hit the spaced armor instead and do no damage, which is sad times. So I was really hoping that wouldn't happen. We're just being as careful as possible, watching to see if that Leopard decides to drive out, watching to see if we maybe get a shot at the 4211 again. The Leopard does give us his rear, though, which we'll take. We'll get a good shot into there, 4.5k. The T-10 managed to bounce off our upper plate. So we're just looking at this guy going, okay, let's try and get a shot in. We get an RBRT shot of the T-10, which bounces off his turret front, because I thought, well, 372 pen, I'm going to go through that easily. No, nope. We go for the shot into the lower plate of the 4211, and we didn't even hit it, let alone pen it, which is sad. So we're going to shoot the T-10. We'll go for the shot into the lower plate, put him down to a one-shot. Great. Just waiting on our reload now, and we will try and get that gun out of the game. But he's making it awkward, and in fact, we ricochet. The shot goes high and ricochets, and therefore we don't actually manage to kill that T-10, which is going to make this exceptionally awkward, especially since his T-10 friend has actually damaged our ammo rack. We get lucky that we bounce one, but we get penned by the other, which means we're still alive. But we've got a damaged ammo rack, which means we can't quite kill it. Just because we didn't get that shot into his lower plate, upper plate, which we should be able to pen quite easily. We could have quite easily died there, and that would have been very frustrating. We managed to get a shot into the WZ-122-4 there, into his side, but the reload in this tank with the damaged ammo rack is, woo, not a good time. We're stuck with a pretty poor reload at this point. And I don't really want to poke out where we were poked out then, because we were getting detected, and because I'm a one-shot for basically everything in this game now, I don't want to risk getting shot down. So we turned to see what the 4211 over here was doing, and thankfully he wasn't paying attention to us, and we got a shot straight through the side of his hull, and we're up to 6,600 damage with 1,721 assistance. Again, we'll go for the lower plate of the 4211, but the shot goes high and hits the upper plate. You can pen the lower plate of the 4211, you just have to hit it extremely low. And we know there's something over there. And sadly, it hits us with a rocket, and it was a rickety Panzer. But we finished the game with 6.6k damage, a bit of assistance. The first class sniper, the Confederate, 2.1k assistance as well. So what, I mean, 8.7k combined. Not too bad, not too bad. And that was what the tank was like when it's nearly fully upgraded. So that was 2 games with stock guns, so you got to see what the stock gun's like. I say there's not a true massive difference between the stock. When you get into this point of the tech trees in Cold War, there's very, very minimal difference between the stock and top guns and stuff like that. The one thing that is obviously different about the top gun on the T-80 is the fact that now you have 408mm of penetration, which is pretty good, and you will be able to pen most things with that. 408 is still not quite as high as some of the others where they're going at 440, 450, but it'll do. Or even 420, right? But it'll do, and you can pen a lot of the tanks with that, which is okay. You do have 420 heat rounds as well, but to be honest, you're not really going to use heat rounds, that's why I don't carry any. You got 145 penetration on the HE rounds for 690 damage, which can be useful if you get very lightly armored targets. You can hit them for a lot of damage at that point. Oh, that's the gun right there. But this top gun is just as derpy as the stock gun. You've got 0.29 accuracy at 100 meters, which is good. That's good. You got 1.9 second aim time. Great. 2.07 accuracy during movement, 0.7 accuracy during rotation is pretty okay. It's not great, but it's not good. But it means the gun doesn't bloom out that horrifically, but it does also bloom out more than a fair few of the other tanks. And honestly, this tank has felt exceptionally derpy. It's felt like if I could miss a shot, it's going to. And I feel like this replay epitomises that. There's going to be quite a few shots in this replay where you sit there going, really? Really, really? You know, and it's just RNG giveth an RNG taker for this gun. It's like that on the T-80B as well. And it's just a little bit frustrating. Full lower plate of the T-80. T-10B, sorry. Full lower plate of the T-10B. We hit the rock next to him. Yep. Thank you, RNG. Shot at the 120 goes in, and obviously the Object 120 just snaps us straight away. The T-10 comes in, bounces a shot. So we go for the shot into the lower plate of the T-10, and thankfully it flies in. We're up to 2.7k damage, 622 assistance. And when we're sort of this hull down, I feel like we can bounce the T-10 quite reliably, and we can just go straight through the front of his turret. There's still quite a lot of the enemy team left, and we've lost quite a lot of hit points. We go for the shot into the T-10B over there, which realistically that was never going to hit. That was just, yeah, a very, very chancy shot. We actually have shots at the Magak, which that one goes straight into the Magak 6BGAL. It was quite a nice shot there from RNG. And we're just being very, very careful. We noticed there's a T-10 behind us, and that shot it was kind of snapped, but at the same time we were mostly aimed, and we actually only did track damage. We aimed that shot in though that time, and thankfully it does fly into the T-10. While we are currently not being harassed, we might as well just try and farm what's going off over in the distance and help our friends. But now that they've pulled back behind cover where we can't shoot them, we may as well go pressure this T-80, who is also shooting my friends. Right, we were both shooting each other's teams, so we may as well go pressure. We put a shot in to track him, which penned him as well, and he instantly repaired it, which is why we run away. The shot on the RDFLT misses, but that T-80's actually come after us. It's like, hello, Mr. T-80. Well, let me just put a shot through your lower plate, and he gets finished off by my T-10B. We're up to 5.5k damage with 622 assistance. We're going to move over onto the left-hand side of this ridgeline now to see if we can find any shots into the back of their heavies. But in fact, we find a 4-ad, and it's like, hello, Mr. 4-ad. You're trying to hurt my friend? No, I will hurt you, my son. He's doing the right thing in trying to get away from my teammate. We tried to track. We were aiming for the track there of the 30B2 Brennus, but sadly it didn't happen, because that way we would have stopped him in place. We managed to finish him off, though, with that final shot. There's the T-80B, and I was thinking maybe it was that light tank that was in front of us that's detecting us. We go for the shot into the back of the T-80B, and sadly, it's a rickety Panzer that was completely unspotted, directly behind us, and he finished us off. But we finished the game with the 7.6, nearly 7.7k damage, 622 assistance, the Confederate, the second class, for 1408 base XP. A pretty nice game there for the T-80 on Nomini Nom. Again, that one kind of just showed this top gun, and the fact that it just sits there missing shots. You get it's pretty much the whole tank in the reticle, and you go, yes, I'm ready. Oh, it missed. Oh, okay, thanks, gun. And it's like that very, very often with the T-80, and it just gets a bit frustrating. So it's something to be very, very wareful of. So we're on the second replay, and we're over here on Corellia. And on Corellia, we've pushed aggressively up the A line, and we're going to try and push down the 1 line. But then I spot the medium tank that's crossing the middle of the map. And it's like, hello, Mr. T-55 Enigma. We have his whole side, and of course, it goes high and hits the turret and does no damage. It's like, thank you very much for that gun. We get the back end of the Ignis Pagatio, though. That was never going to, well, it could have missed, but it didn't. Now, got the back of the Ignis, hopefully going to get the shot in, but, well, we picked the one moment to fire there where he actually ended up behind a rock and we couldn't quite get the shot. Sad times. Now a bagel delivery system is on his way, and it ends up landing behind him. I thought I might be able to get the shot into him there, because we do have 1,785 meters a second shell velocity with this gun, but we really just needed to lead it a little bit better than we did. But we did get shot in the Ignis, though, which is pretty good. The T-55 Enigma is in a very, very open area, which is making it pretty easy for us to get shots in. I was hoping to maybe track and pen him, but he managed to get his drive wheel back round the corner so that I could only really get shots at his lower plate. It was either going to track him or pen him there, and I just decided to go for the pen. I probably should have tracked him in hindsight, but yeah, hindsight is 20/20. We do go for the tracking shot that time, though, because I thought, well, assistance damage, but we just do nothing at all. Our Enigma is doing his best to block their Enigma, so I can't quite get a shot. Armour Gak's gone in, and their team is currently winning the other side of the map quite handily, so we need to start just moving in and win this side. As we start to progress, it's like, oh boy, that's a 122 and an Ignis, just sat there chilling. And that's kind of awkward, so we missed a shot on the move on the Ignis, but we're going to move up to the next rock that is directly in front of us so that we can try and keep some cover between me and the Ignis and the WZ-122. We managed to Neo the Ignis Pagatio's rocket there, get back to cover with the rock, and there is actually 4 tanks back here that we can start working over with this gun. So we're just looking for the shot into the MX-30B2. We have his whole side, and sadly, that one tracks him only, doesn't actually pen him. But he is tracked still in the open, which makes it very easy to get shots into an MX-30B2, and naturally the 30B2 has no armour, so it's actually quite easy to kill and pen. We shut down the T-10B. Again, I could have shot the 30B, but I went for the T-10B because, number one, getting guns out of the game is always, always, always a good thing to do. It's always better to go for the kill than the damage, because naturally you can get a gun out of the game, and that's guns that could be shooting you and getting rid of it. Also, XP. Kills are XP, and while we're grinding like we are here on the T-80, it means that we can get more XP from the kills, which will boost our XP total at the end, which will then be able to move us on quicker. We actually get a nice snapped-in shot on the move into the Scorpion there, who was stopped in place. And what we're going to try and do is push to the middle area now and try and climb the hill at G6. Because then we can get up behind their heavy tanks that are in the mid, and we can basically try and just get free damage on the back ends of those that have progressed towards our cap. Sadly, we aimed at the lower plate of the T-10, who was up on the hill, and of course the shot just went high and did nothing because it hit the upper plate and ricocheted. Sod's law is what the RNG does for this gun. But the T-10 has stayed out in the open, which is like, oh, hello, Mr. T-10. I am your bigger brother, and I am just basically better than you. So I'm here to take your life. So we're going after this T-10. We go for the shot into the lower plate. He pops smoke, which is actually kind of handy for me, more than him, because I could just hide in it. Now we're reloaded. We finish off the T-10. We've now got a Conqueror with us, which is a bit of an awkward prospect, because he has good penetration, so naturally the Conqueror will be able to pen us, but we can quite easily go through a Conqueror. But the one thing that the Conqueror does have is DPM. The Conqueror has fantastic DPM, and that means if we go toe-to-toe with this guy, we're going to lose a lot of hit points. So I need to do something to make sure that it's as difficult as possible for him to be able to get the shot into us. So we hug his side as close as possible, which means that it's a bit more difficult for him to actually get the shot at us, and therefore he ended up missing us, and we finish off the Conqueror there with a shot to the side. Now there's only one tank left on the enemy team. It is the T-72A, who is spotted in the middle of the spawn there, really. Unfortunately, the first shot on his side does no damage, doesn't even track it, just bounced. We go for the second shot into his side, and oh, of course it did. It bounced, because why not? Hopefully going to get another shot into this guy, but actually the T-80 rams the T-72A to death, and we didn't get another shot. That was another one where the gun just goes, nah, I'm not feeling that, and I'm just going to miss for you, bro. We finished the game top of the team, 4 kills, 7.8, nearly 7.9k damage. The ace tanker, the high caliber, with 1579 assistance damage, which, yeah, put us up to like 9.5k combined, something around that level, which is pretty damn good going, realistically. And we're on to the third and final replay of this video. Well played to you if you are still here. And we are on this map. And we are on Redshire. And on Redshire, what I was going to do was go onto the ridge lines over here. I can go onto the ridge lines here. I can shoot people maybe as they overextend on the ridge line at C8, B9, B8, around there. And maybe people that do camp as well at EF9. But it's also an awkward spot to take in Era 2 and Era 3, realistically, because if my team have done what my team have done, and they've mostly gone down the AB line, which means that if their team do what their team do sometimes, which is full send down the J line, then up the 2 line, I will be fairly isolated in this position, and I will get boned. So that's what we're doing. We're actually scouting at this point. We're seeing what's happening. And as you can see, their heavy tank that's there is running away, which means there must not really be anything here. So we're going to move up. We've just seen a shot fly from the right-hand side. It's actually a T-10. We missed the shot on the move, but we're in kind of an awkward spot. Something with an ATGM fires from over there. I'm like, what was that? Unfortunately, we missed that shot, but I decided, no, okay, no, this spot is way too open. We're too exposed. I can't stay here. I'm going to move off and get going. So we come back to this side of the ridgeline, and we are now safe from those people that we couldn't see. There was too much foliage in their campy spot for me to actually be able to see anything, so I couldn't make out what was actually firing ATGMs at us. So we just need to get ourselves, rather than staying in the open and not be able to deal with that, just get ourselves safe, get ourselves into a better position where we can help our team. So we're up to 1400 damage because we managed to shut down that rickety panzer. The Leopard 166 drives out in the open. It's like, well, thank you very much, Mr. Leopard 166. We actually managed to track him as well, which is fairly handy. But he instantly repaired it. We get a nice shot there into the Leopard 1, trying to help our light tank out. Now a T-80 is attacking our light tank. I fear for our light tank, and he dies. But T-80 is giving us free shots, which we're always going to take. It's like, hello, Mr. T-80, thank you so much for this. We go for the tracking shot, and thankfully it flies true, which gives us a bit of assistance from the tracking, and maybe we can perma-track him too, which... Yes, we can. We get the shot into the drive wheel, which tracks him in places and damages him. Waiting on the reload. Hopefully can shut the T-80 down. And there, good night, Mr. T-80. We take a hit from the ATGM tank that is over in the distance at K56. So instead, we're not going to sit here in the open where we're getting ATGM'd. We're going to get ourselves moving off towards this 4-2-1-1. Again, help our team out. There's a 4-2-1-1 in an awkward spot below our team. So if we want to get rid of that guy, that would be handy. We go for the shot into the lower plate of the T-80. Again, gun. We had basically most of the T-80's lower plate there as he bowled back over the ridgeline, and we hit the upper plate because that's what happens. But this 4-2-1-1 is in a very awkward spot for himself. He is in the open. We've got him dead to rights for his cupola and stuff like that, and he ends up getting shut down by Armour 1A1. We're up to 5.1k damage with 425 assistance, and we just want to try and put pressure on these guys on the corner. And it's like, oh, hello, people. There's quite a lot of you. We get a nice tracking shot into the T-80B. The rickety panzer is in a very awkward spot for himself because he's not far enough away from us to be able to actually do any damage with his ATGMs. So I'm not particularly worried about that guy at this point. But we're just going to wait for the smoke to dissipate so that we can actually be able to try and get some shots at the guys on the hill. That rickety panzer is running away. We couldn't see him because of the dead wreck. And we had the whole back end of that tank, and it just decided, nah, you know what, I don't want to hit that rickety panzer. I'll let him off. It's like, thanks, gun. Thanks for that. So we're going to go past the Leopard 1. And we're going to go past the Leopard 1, charge past him, RBRT on, and charge into the rock. We're charging into the rock so that we stay safe from the TD and the medium tank, sorry, at E0. And we finish off the Leopard 1 who was trying to run away from us, because now we can actually turn to face the Enigma and the rickety panzer, who were, if we'd stayed in the open and just face-hugged the Leopard 1, these two guys would have been able to get easy shots at us. We didn't want to give them that, so what we're doing is now pulling forward and trying to get shots into him. Like I say, when we went after that Leopard, we didn't want to just face-hug him because the Enigma and the rickety panzer would have had shots, so we planned ahead, and that is when we went past the Leopard 1. We kept our gun locked on him, kept the shots flying, but also got ourselves to safety. We know there's a tank somewhere up there, and there we go. We saw the rocket from the BMP, which meant we knew where he was, and we actually managed to pen him blind. I think he might still be there, but no, he sadly is not there, so we're not missing that shot. We're at 8.7k damage and 483k assistance, and that rickety panzer is now being charged down by my heavy tank and TD. So what I'm going to do is charge instead to see if I can get some shots at the BMP too. But as we come over the ridgeline, we actually have shots at the rickety panzer, and, well, the gun actually went too low there and missed, so we hit the floor. And the Marder 1A1 is actually in the open for us. We get the shot, sorry, get the gun fully aimed nearly on that guy. Not fully aimed, but mostly aimed in on his tank, and we end up missing. Second shot, fully aimed, does finally go in. Again, that's where the gun is just frustrating. It's like, you know what, I could hit that Marder 1A1. I could, or I could just hit the floor, because why not? And that's what it does. It's what it does. There's only 2 tanks left. It is the Marder 1A1 and that T-80B. So we're just going to maneuver into, or T-10B, sorry, and we're going to get in as close as possible to be able to try and shut them down. The T-10's actually coming for us, so we put a shot straight through his lower plate, which actually damages his Armour as well. He gets shut down by the Rickety Panzer, meaning there's only the Marder. Wait for it to aim in, and there we go. It actually behaves itself, and we finish off the Marder A1 there for our, what was it, 5th kill of the game. And finished at 10,179 damage and 483 assistance. Ace tanker, high caliber, Confederate, with that 1867 base XP. A really nice game there for the T-80, which is it's a pretty damn solid tank. It's a pretty damn fun tank to play. You just got to watch out for the gun being very, very troll at times. It's a very, very troll tank with that gun. But it's a very, very capable tank, and it's a pretty damn enjoyable grind. So, as always, everybody, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.
A great success.